Happy Monday, everybody. Glenn Stein, Realty Executives in the Villages and Ocala, Florida. Hope you're doing well. And it is October 19th. Just want to give you a little bit of a market update. Trying to do this at least every 7 to 8 days, giving you a weekly update as to what's going on in the Villages, Florida real estate market. Obviously a lot of things going on with COVID and, lockdowns, shutdowns, civil unrest, and all kinds of crazy things. We're not seeing that here. I think with our demographic here, mostly people are have been pretty safe as far as, wanting to look at homes. We've seen a slight uptick and a slight increase in the amount of people that are interested in renting for season January through March. Normally this time of year we're pretty much booked, and we're only partially booked right now. 3 weeks ago we were only maybe 20% booked, and now we're about 50% booked. So we're starting to see a little bit of an increase in that for short-term rentals. That's an indication as far as the type of people that are going to be moving in our direction. I think that also is kind of gives us a little bit of a gauge and a temperature check on where and how many people are actually interested in coming down and getting away from the cold. I think we're sensing that people are a little bit hesitant over the last 3 to 5 months, obviously with COVID, about committing and renting for a season. Now we're seeing the temperature change. People are like, okay, I'll do it. We're also seeing a lot of newer people that we haven't seen before, flow in our direction, right? Like the migration flow seems to be unique. Some of our Canadian friends who obviously are having issues leaving the country and are not wanting to actually come down and not sure if they're going to come down this year. That is obviously an issue. But for the most part, I think things are relatively safe here as long as you're safe and you take the necessary precautions. I think things will be okay if you're kind of curious about what's going on in Florida. But giving you a market update, this is to the minute, last 7 days, new listings, 45 new listings. Typically, what we have seen the last 3 to 4 weeks, we've seen 50 plus new listings. Pretty much throughout the whole year, other than for the last 4 or 5 months, I'll say, new listings have been somewhere between 35 to 40. 45 is still a higher than normal number, I would say, but definitely less than the last 3 to 4 weeks where we're seeing 50 plus. And I was a little concerned. I was watching it and have been watching it to see if that's going to continue to go up. That's very helpful that the numbers that we're seeing have come slightly down. I'm happy to see that. Like, we don't want so much inventory that becomes an issue, right? And we do have a record number of homes on the market right now. I think partially because partially because of the season that we're in. I think partially because we're getting more listings onto MLS. There are two different systems here. Obviously VLS, that's run by the Property of the Villages company, and I think we've taken some of those listings away from them. But also, I think there's we've had a slight slowdown. One of those indications, it's kind of a really interesting market, and I think it's pretty much the same with around the country, where we're seeing a seller's and a buyer's market simultaneously. It's really, really interesting. But another indicator for a slight buyer's market are the number of price decreases. We had 70 price reductions in the last 7 days. Typical, pretty much throughout the year, even through COVID, has been like 35 to 40. We saw a market increase in price reductions last week. I think we're in the 50s, but we're at 70 price reductions. That means people are saying, okay, we need to reduce the price if we're going to get our home sold. We saw 37 properties close. It's kind of average. I mean, just kind of a normal number. Nothing low and nothing high. It's kind of, that's kind of an okay number. One thing that was actually an indicator, which is actually very encouraging for a very balanced marketplace, right? Like, not, when we're looking at the new listings, a little bit higher than normal, 45. That's an indicator of potentially a buyer's market. Price decreases, 70. That's a big indicator for a buyer's market. But now here's a indicator for a seller's market. 54 under contract. That's the largest number we've seen maybe all year in a 7-day period. 54 under contract. So things are picking up from the from a buyer standpoint and a seller standpoint. Really one of those unusual cases where it doesn't favor one side or the other. Seeing both indications of people buying aggressively this week, and obviously a lot of price decreases, sellers wanting to sell their home. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm anticipating really a mix of both. Between there might be some ups and downs depending on what week you pick, but I'm anticipating a pretty balanced marketplace, brisk marketplace. Lots of properties coming on the market and lots of properties going under contract. I think for the next 15 months, we're going to see this as long as interest rates stay low. So if you have any questions about the marketplace, any whatever advice you need, happy to help. No obligations, of course. Glenn Stein, broker owner, realty executives in the Villages and Ocala. 352-572-3796. 352-572-3796. Our website, if you want to look at properties, buysellthevillages.com. Buysellthevillages.com. Okay, take care.